This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio.
Welcome to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio, and I'm delighted to be back. I think it's my 6th show and I'm so enjoying myself. Have the best time. I mean, what's not to love? I have a real passion for fashion, and each week I'm going to tell you 3 random facts about me, so you'll get to know me a little bit each week. I love movies, I love musicals, and I love freshly baked bread. A little bit obsessed, actually. My current obsession is that cheese and tomato, and I just it sounds grander than it is. I actually just pop a mix in my bread machine and voila, I have this amazing bread, but it is absolutely divine. So that is my current obsession. So in today's show I'm going to be talking about Dear Evan Hansen, which is on at Milton Keynes Theatre. I'm going to be talking about wardrobe weeding and what that entails, and I'm going to be having a little moan about theatre etiquette. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review of Dear Evan Hansen, which I saw at Milton Keynes Theatre, which makes its touring debut actually here in January. Today is going to be a good day. Evan is an anxious high school kid. He really does suffer from social anxiety. I would probably say he's probably a little bit on the spectrum, but this was probably before autism and Asperger's was actually a thing in school. So probably undiagnosed, but his mum is terribly concerned about him, and he's very much an introvert, just not fitting in. Something happens and he tells a bit of a lie, but he doesn't really tell a lie, but the whole thing just escalates and becomes massive. And this show is quite dark. Well, it is very dark. It deals with some very dark subjects like suicide and bullying, and he's such an outsider. And the story is basically the boy who is kind of bullying him, Connor Murphy, he's very disturbed. Unfortunately, he takes his life, and Connor, desperate to fit in, writes an email and pretends that it's from this boy and becomes ensconced in his family. And he doesn't want to leave because he doesn't have that kind of home environment. And before he knows it, he's going out with Connor's sister, and his parents have embraced him into the family fold, and it's just too late. And he's not getting the attention that he needs at home because his mum is desperately working so hard. She's a single parent, and it's a really, really difficult situation. But he's desperate to be liked, and the lie just unfolds, and the ramifications are so far reaching, but you can see it happening, and it's very, very uncomfortable to watch. But Ryan Kopel, who plays Evan, is extraordinary, and I saw him in Newsies. He's an amazing performer. He's got the most beautiful voice, and he's on stage all the time, so it's a big role to fill. We've got Lauren Conway as Zoe Murphy, and Alice Fern from Wicked, and she's incredible as well. It's very hard to see as a mother myself, to see her son going through all this angst, and there's nothing she can do. It's packed with some of the biggest musical theatre songs of the last decade, and it's a score by Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, and they composed for The Greatest Showman and La La Land. So yeah, they really know what they're doing, and some of the songs are really, really moving. It's a wonderful show. If I'm honest, I didn't enjoy it as much as the film with Ben Platt, which was filmed on Broadway, and he originated the role of Dear Evan Hansen. So I enjoyed it, but ordinarily I would prefer stage over film. Not this time, but I think it's a fantastic show, and it is starting its tour across the UK, but it's on at Milton Keynes. But I did enjoy it. I had high expectations, wasn't disappointed. It's definitely worth seeing, and it deals with some very, very dark subjects, though. But a great, great cast, and the music. If you're a real musical theatre person, this is definitely for you, because they say the songs are what make the show fantastic. Next, I'm going to talk about something a little bit light. I'm going to talk about wardrobe weeding. You may well ask, what is a wardrobe weed? It literally is what you think it is. I'm weeding your wardrobe. So that is one of the things that I do in my spare time. Not that I have much spare time. The reason we should do a wardrobe weed is because we only wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. That is quite a scary statistic. How many of you have opened your wardrobe and looked and gone, oh my God, I've got nothing to wear? Yeah, it's absolutely packed to capacity. And that whole sense of fear and panic of like, oh my God, I've got nothing to wear. And also the reasons that we've got these clothes in our wardrobe are tenfold. So the first thing I would say was, we don't want to get rid of things because we spent decent money on them. So we think, oh, well, that's a waste of money if we're going to get rid of it. Well, it's not, because you're not wearing it. Secondly, And the biggest thing of all, no pun intended, is that we may get back into them. So we'll go on a diet and we'll lose that weight and we'll get back into them. That is probably not going to happen. If that's not happened in the last 6 months, or if you've not worn that outfit in the last 6 months to a year, the likelihood of that happening is, well, it's not going to happen. And that can make you feel really, really disheartened, because you're looking at clothes that are a certain size, thinking, oh, well, I'm never going to be that size again. And it can make you feel actually almost go the opposite way and just think, oh, well, sod it, I don't care. I'm just going to eat because I'm never going to be a size whatever again. Or could just make you feel really, really negative. So I would say if you can't get into it, it's okay. You need to let it go. There is no such thing as a standard size anymore. There's no such thing as the perfect size. And what does that even mean? So it's about having clothes in your wardrobe that actually fit you. Also, did you buy them on the sale? And I have talked about this before in previous episodes. If you bought something in the sale, have you worn it? Because if not, again, that's not money well spent. You've got to think about cost per wear. If you spent £100 on a skirt and you only wear it once, you think about that's £100 per wear. If you spent £50 on it and you've worn it 5 times, cost per wear. So that's why I'm saying don't buy things in the sale, because they will just sit in your wardrobe. But having said that, we've all done that. And if you've got items in your wardrobe that have still got labels on, or you bought them in the sale because they were cheap, they need to go as well. As women, we're very emotionally attached to our clothes as well. And I speak for myself as well. I've got clothes in my wardrobe that remind me of certain things, certain memories. I mean, I've still got my wedding dress in one of my suitcases. I mean, what's that about? I was probably 10 stone 3 then, so tiny. And the irony was that I actually thought I was fat then. So talk about youth being wasted on the young. Really, really hard on myself. So I've got this dress, which is, it's never going to be worn again. It was handmade, so it's bespoke. It's not going to fit anybody else. And why would anybody else want to wear it? It's not like it's a vintage dress and it's special. So again, it's not taking up a lot of space, but it's still there, and it's kind of there every time I my summer suitcase. I'm looking, thinking, well, why is this still there? And it's memories of a very happy day, but not necessarily particularly happy marriage. So, and again, looking back at our clothes can bring back good and bad memories. So if your clothes are bringing back good memories, but you're keeping them because of that and they don't work for you, that's not going to serve any purpose. And also, if they're bringing back bad memories, then you definitely want to get rid of. So there's lots of reasons why we should look at having a wardrobe weed. Also, it's quite a scary thing having a complete stranger come into your house and actually go through your wardrobe, because as I said, as women, we're very emotionally attached to our clothes, and we feel that if someone's coming in, they're going to take all the stuff that we like away and we're going to be left with nothing. That's not the case at all. I will do a FaceTime consultation with you, which is what I did with my customer last week, lovely Anna in Bedford. And we did a FaceTime call, and I could see how many wardrobes she had and what I was working with. And I ascertained it was about 3 hours worth of work. So based on that, I knew what to expect. She knew what to expect. And then I turned up at her house on Friday, and we went through her wardrobe. And, she was actually really up for it. But for some people, it is quite painful. But for Anna, it was really, really cathartic. And at the end of the process, we had 9 big bin bags full of clothes to go to the charity shop. And she said she felt so liberated. She just kept walking back and looking at her wardrobe that was, now much emptier, but full of clothes she actually loves and that she's actually going to wear. So I'd probably cut her wardrobe down by, I'd say, about sort of 80%, but everything that was left in her wardrobe she absolutely loves and she's going to wear. So that's really, really important. And she said for her it was like a deep cleanse, and it restored her sanity. Another lovely testimonial I had was from Tracy, who said shopping with me is like shopping with a best friend, except I'm objective. Because sometimes when you shop with a friend, they go, yeah, you look great with that, you look great in that, but actually you don't. You just, because your friends don't necessarily want to tell you the truth. So I will be really, really honest and say, that's good or that's bad, or that needs to go. And she just said, my knowledge and my honesty was really, really important. And I will always be honest. If I think something isn't great, I will tell you, and I will just say it's got to go. So it is the most cathartic experience. It is a wonderful way of, getting rid of clothes that are serving no purpose, and also not bringing any joy. We should open our wardrobes every single day and look at them with absolute joy and think, yeah, I know what I'm going to wear today. 100%, no hesitation, not, oh my God, I've got nothing to wear. And then you've got that whole spiral. And then also, as I said, it's very hard as a woman to get rid of your own clothes. I know myself, it's very hard to do it to myself. So preacher, heal myself. So a wardrobe weed, if this is something you're interested in, I'd be really interested in having a chat to you. We can have a free consultation. I'm going to put a reel up on my social media, which is _NancyMK_, and you can see what is entailed, because it's not as scary as it seems. So if you're keen on a wardrobe weed and you are fed up with the fact that you are not wearing all the clothes that you love, please give me a shout. So I hope this helps. I hope that tells you a little bit about what is entailed with a wardrobe weed. And I'm going to talk about theatre etiquette. This is something that really, or lack of, should I say, this is something that really grinds my gears. So I would say that this first bit is a very personal thing. So when I first started going to the theatre back in the 70s, my dad was an actor, so I was very lucky to be brought up in the theatre with a theatre background. But opening nights or first nights were really exciting times. And I remember my mum being super glam. She used to have her long dress on and her opera gloves. And I remember a tiara even made an appearance, fur coat, and it was very glamorous. And people really made an effort to dress up. And I know times have changed. I know we've moved on. But I love that whole sense of occasion. And I remember, well into the sort of 80s, I remember having a big row with my mum about what to wear to the theatre. And she would not let me wear trousers. She was old school. She didn't think trousers were smart enough. And I kind of, looking back now, I think, she was just, she had standards and she was of a particular generation. But now when I go to the theatre and I see what people are wearing, it just absolutely appalls me. I think if you spent 50 quid on a ticket, why would you not want to dress up? Whereas we don't get a chance to dress up. And I hear this every day from a lot of my ladies, my customers who come see me for styling. They just say, I don't have the occasion anymore. I've got nothing to dress up for. But we absolutely do. And the theatre is the best place, in my opinion, to do this. And as I say, if you spent a decent amount of money on a ticket, and theatre tickets are really expensive. Now, let's be honest, you're not going to get much change from 50 quid. Why not dress up? Those items of clothing in your wardrobe that you don't have a chance to wear, why don't you wear them? That will make you feel so much better. And it is that whole thing about getting dressed up. So I remember Mum actually, we had a massive row, and I actually refused to go to the theatre. And she wouldn't let me go because I was wearing trousers, which was ridiculous. Talk about cutting off your nose to spite your face. And I know that seems quite extreme. But when I see what people wear now, I'm absolutely shocked. I've seen shorts, t-shirts, flip-flops, and it really, really upsets me. And I know we don't have to dress like we're going to Covent Garden, and it's we're not going to the opera, but just make an effort. It feels so good. And when I went to the theatre the other day, because January feels like it's been about 600 days long, I actually wore something really sparkly, and I wore a sparkly jumper, which was very quite Christmassy, and some really sparkly jewelry, and it made me feel really good. And I thought, why do we save sparkle for Christmas when we need it all year round? And again, that sense of occasion, getting dressed up to go to the theatre, and everybody commented and said, and I'm not doing it to get comments or compliments, I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. But I just think, people are just like, oh, that looks really, really nice, you've made an effort. And it's a conversation starter as well. So so most teenagers were told off for wearing, pelmets leaving the house. Not me. I was just, you're not allowed to wear trousers. So yeah, different times. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which all falls under the etiquette banner, is phones in the theatre. Milton Keynes Theatre are really strict, thankfully, with phones. And I applaud them for this. They are really, really good about it. But I've been in the West End, and I went to see Moulin Rouge last year, and it really, really got on my nerves. I was so upset. The girl next to me was on her phone pretty much throughout the whole show. And I had to say to her, do you mind? And she got really, really snappy with me. And I had to get front of house involved. And these tickets were like 70, 80, 90 pounds. Why are you on your phone? Is this, are you not engaged with what's going on? And it wasn't like she was filming the show, which is bad enough, and it's really distracting for the performers. But she was texting friends, and I was just so angry. And also talking Talking and singing, again, really, really irritating. So Bat Out of Hell, which is what I played earlier, had to be stopped last year. MJ had to be stopped, and The Bodyguard had to be stopped due to audience bad behavior. When people are singing and, they've probably had too much to drink, and again, they've had to be ejected from the theatre. But for performers, it's incredibly distracting to have any form of distraction, whether it's a phone, talking, etc. like that. So I just don't understand why people, who've spent a lot of money, probably saved up quite a long time to go to the theatre, completely ruin it with this appalling behaviour. And my last little whinge is eating. Why do you have to eat during a show? It's 2.5 hours maximum. Surely you can go 2.5 hours without food. So it's the rustling of the sweets that really, really gets on my nerves. So I would sort of say just maybe try and, for those of you who like to eat sweets or eat throughout performance, that's what the interval is for, not in the actual show. So please spare a thought for your fellow patrons who've also spent a lot of money trying to enjoy it, and don't eat those sweets. Seriously, please just, let's be more considerate towards our fellow human beings, because it seems to be, and I'm really getting on my soapbox now, it seems to be like, oh, well, I'll do it because, I don't care, I don't care about the consequences. But, if you're having to ask someone to stop talking or filming or rustling their sweets and they get arsey with you, that is not cool. So please, guys, and yeah, it doesn't happen at Milton Keynes Theatre, so I'm very grateful about that. But to West End shows, I do really feel for, say you spend a lot of money and people are behaving really, really badly. Come on, guys, grow up. So I want to talk about something that's quite exciting happening. I've just had a meeting with Waterstones, and I'm going to be doing some book reviews coming up. So if you love books like I do, please stay tuned, because I'm going to be reading some really juicy books over the next couple of months, and hopefully I'll be discovering some authors that I've never heard of before. But we're going to be concentrating also on local talent, and I'm going to be promoting the Milton Keynes Literary Festival, which is coming up from the 9th to the 12th of April. So I'm very excited about that. We've got some great local authors. So very, very excited about that. And I think it's really important that we champion local talent. This is what community radio is all about. So yeah, watch this space. I'm gonna be doing some great interviews, actually, and I've got a couple of great little books. I've got some Orbital by Samantha Harvey and Claire Keegan, Small Things Like These. Apparently they've done really, really well. That's a Booker Prize winner 2024. So I'm going to endeavour to read one of these before my next show to do a little bit of a review. So I thought, well, I'll just start with something quite short. But I'm so excited as a book lover. This is I'm literally ticking all my boxes. I'm doing theatre, I'm doing cinema, and I'm doing books. I mean, this little girl is very happy. And if you'd said to my younger self that I was going to be able to come on the radio every single week and talk about the four things that I love the most: fashion, theatre, cinema, and books, I would never have believed you. So I'm super grateful to my wonderful producer, Chris Gregg, who's given me this opportunity after many years. And I'm actually going to call him out, because Chris is the unsung hero. Chris has been doing radio since Jesus was a boy. He's amazing. There's nothing he doesn't know about radio. And Chris was the first person to give me my break on radio. And he's the reason I'm here. And he's been my mentor all these years. Back in, it must be 12, 15 years I've been on radio. And it's all Chris's fault. No, joking aside, I'm very, very grateful. And I think for someone like me who just didn't think something like this was possible, anything is possible if you set your mind to it. So I'm very grateful. So thank you, Chris. This is a very public thank you. So I've loved the first hour. The second hour is going to be great. It's our wellness hour, and I'm delighted I'm going to be talking to my personal trainer, which makes me sound terribly grand. I'm not actually, but I've got the amazing Jo Morrow, who is going to be talking about whether it's worth joining the gym in January. I'm so excited to be joined by my PT, Jo Morrow. Jo is a PT based in Milton Keynes, works with clients of all ages, abilities, lifestyles to help them achieve their fitness goals. She's a qualified group fitness instructor, nutrition coach, and run leader for England Athletics. Well, I did not know that. I've known you many, many years. I did not know that. Very warm welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We're popping your radio cherry, aren't we?
You absolutely are. I'm very excited.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Not at all.
So we've known each other for quite a long time, and I think what you do that is so different is you make exercise accessible for everybody, because I think a lot of people, particularly at this time of year, have made the ridiculous New Year's resolutions, joined a gym, and then obviously we know by the middle of February that's not going to be sustainable. So firstly, I want to know why that happens. Why do you think people give up so easily?
So I think there are a number of reasons, but if I look at, certainly from my experience, the people that are most successful, it's because they start with something they enjoy. So I would say before you think about getting into exercise, whether it's getting back into exercise or starting for the first time, think about what kind of exercise you enjoy, because ultimately the failure happens when you launch yourself into something that you're really not enjoying. Your motivation drops. All you need is an excuse of the weather being bad or whatever it is, and you're not going to keep going. And then we start to get into this sort of circle of feeling bad, we're demotivated, we think we should be doing things, maybe we've spent money, as you say, joining a gym, and we don't go. And ultimately, we sort of say, right, fine, that's that, move on. However, if you do something you enjoy and you stop to think about what that thing is and look into it, the chances are you're going to get off onto the right foot. Now, it doesn't have to be a gym. It could be dancing. It could be walking. It could be running. It could be something that you just do at home for yourself, and you pop on a video and think, do you know what I really enjoy, as I know you do, 15 minutes of yoga every morning. If that's what gets you into it, that's a great start. And then you can build from there. And if you decide, actually, this is something that I am now building into my life, I'm going to try something else, then you'll go from strength to strength. I think what we do is we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we think we should be doing X, Y, and Z, ticking all the boxes, and we can't keep up with it because it's not really something we're enjoying doing. So I would say that's the starting point for thinking about how you might want to get off the ground in the new year.
No, that's really helpful. I think variety, as you say, it is about variety. It's finding the thing that you love, because there's no point doing something because you think it's what you should do if it's something you hate. I absolutely detest running. Every time I run, I hurt myself. And I'm not built for speed anyway. I mean, seriously, just look at me. So, running is not my thing. I used to run because it's what I thought I should do, but it never felt, and I don't think anybody ever loves it but I think physically I'm not built for running, and I think it also does help if you are that way inclined. So my brother is a natural runner. He's lean and lithe, and that is probably because he does so much running as well. But that's also the kind of person he is. That's his frame. So he can do marathons and all this sort of crazy stuff, and I'm in awe of him. But it's just not for me. So for me personally, and I've always exercised, but for me personally, and that what I find really helpful for you is that you've said, it doesn't have to be the gym, and it's this perception that we have to join a gym, and because people who don't necessarily normally exercise expect that's, I've got to join a gym. But, what you offer is fitness at home, and there's so many different things that we can do. And I've discovered that I love swimming, and I hated swimming before, and that has been the biggest shock of all. My swimming has improved so much over the last year, and I managed on New Year's Day to swim for 2 solid hours. Amazing. A year ago, I couldn't even swim for half an hour. Yeah. So it's amazing just building up your strength and what's the word? Oh God, menopause has really messed with my brain. But just that your capacity to just endurance, to just keep going. Yeah. So it just putting in the time every week. So for me, I love swimming. As you say, I love doing yoga. Having said that, after my COVID hiatus, I'm really struggling to get back into my daily routine. But classes I love. I go to lots of your amazing classes, and the pump I love because when you're menopausal, you should be obviously lifting weights. It's really important. But I think, what you do at home is so lovely. It's just so lovely to have someone come to the house and go, do you know what? You don't have to leave the house, and here's what you can do that is really, really sustainable.
Yes, exactly. And I think your point about variety is key. And don't get me wrong, there are people, like you say, and I'm guilty as being one of them. I run, and I've run for many, many years. If running was the only thing I did, there are points where I think, I don't feel like running today. What else can I do? Nothing. All right, I won't bother then. But if you keep some variety in the exercise that you do, then, if you're not feeling the run today, there's something else that you might want to do that's part of your exercise, and you've got an armament of exercise you can do. And if you start to think about it in that way, then you can say, okay, if I want to do something to improve my cardiovascular fitness, it doesn't have to be running. It could be swimming. It could be cycling. It could be walking. If I want to do something to improve my strength, I don't have to go and lift weights in the gym. There is lots I can do at home. Body weight even, press-ups, squats, planks, all those sorts of things that you don't need any equipment for at all. And then thinking about your flexibility, you're enjoying your yoga, there's a lot we can do to improve that. And the three things work in partnership, because if you keep your flexibility up, you're less likely to injure yourself. If you keep up your cardiovascular fitness, it's great, obviously, for your heart, your lungs, but strength is super important, as you've said, for all the reasons around bone density, around creating lean muscle tissue. So everything works together, but it also gives you that variety on the days where if you only are doing one type of exercise and you're not feeling it, you feel that you're failing. So I would say variety and doing something you enjoy together is a really good way of looking at it.
So we're talking about fitness, and I think the most important thing we need to sort of talk about as well is that you can be any age. There's no right or wrong. I think a lot of people think they've got to be or look a certain way. Or what would your recommendation to someone who literally has maybe never exercised before?
Absolutely. So actually, when I thought about this point, I had written down exercise you can do at any age, but I also wanted to say exercise something you can do at every age. So clients I've worked with range from their teens through to their 90s, and I think the important thing to think about is that your motivation for exercise is different. Therefore, your goals are different at different stages in your life. So if you've never exercised before, your motivation might not be what it was, 10, 20 years ago. You might be in a different place in your life, but nevertheless, exercise can still be something you can do and achieve your goals through, depending whatever it is your motivation is. So, for example, clients I work with who may be older in life may have long-term conditions, joint pain, mobility issues, frailty, balance problems, and exercise can really help them to improve their quality of life at that point. You and I have spoken at length before about the wider mental health benefits of exercise, and for some people that is the motivation, to be able to exercise to improve their mental well-being. It's not just about getting a particular body shape or a look, or trying to look like somebody else. So I think it really is for every age, and it's then about tapping into what is it that you want to achieve, how do you get there. And I think the key thing is support, and recognising that getting the right support, whatever age you're at, is really important, because it means you can do and achieve safely and effectively, doing something that's right for you, and really working with people that understand where you're at in life. And we've said before, it could be working one-to-one with somebody, it could be coming to classes that you really love, where you feel really supported in a group of like-minded people. It could be joining a running group if that's the thing that you love as well. So yeah, I really, really strongly advocate exercise at every age.
Well, and that's so wonderful to hear, because I think people might be put off and think, oh, I'm to this or I'm to that. And also, there's never a right time. I know January to go hell for leather is not, we don't recommend that. And I know controversially, there's one gym that stopped taking new members in January because just to honour the current members who couldn't get into their classes. Yeah. So I kind of get that, that's quite a brave commercial decision actually, because, if you could, potentially most gyms make their most money in January, and by the end of February, they're like, oh, well, this is nice and empty, but we've got your direct debit for the next 12 months. Thank you very much. So, which is a real shame. But I think, having someone like you come in who can inspire and show the right way, because again, it's finding your thing. But as you say, no age, and also the mental health benefits. For me, my motivation is different now. The reason I exercise is completely different to what it was even a couple of years ago, actually. And for me, I want to be strong, but it's also, and yes, I'd love to be thinner than I actually am, but I'm also realistic about the fact that I'm 2 years off 60. I'm not going to look like I did 5 or 10 years ago, and that's okay. So it doesn't matter. So my age shouldn't be a defining factor on when I start or what sort of exercise I do. But I think for me, it's the mental health benefits are just, for me, it's the biggest thing of all. Yeah. And when I couldn't exercise last year through not one but two major injuries, a really bad back and a broken foot, I got to a really sort of low place, but, it was really good because you were great. You were checked in with me all the time, just said, keep going, obviously keep an eye on your nutrition, because we all know you can't out-train a bad diet. And we'll talk more about nutrition next week, because it's a huge topic.
It is.
It's massive. But you cannot, and again, that's the thing. When I was younger, I could eat what I wanted as long as I exercised. I can't do that anymore. And that has been quite a shock, actually, which is now why my motivation for exercise is to be strong and to keep me sane.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think once you realise that that is where you are now, I think what people feel as they get older is there any point in starting? Will I see any progress? Can I achieve what I want to achieve? Am I too old? And absolutely you can progress. And I know, having worked with you, how much you improved your strength, and how much, even though life gets in the way with various setbacks through injury, etc., you could still progress because you kept in mind what it was you wanted to achieve, and that was achievable, and we worked on making that an achievable goal, and you got there. So
I know, but it was so lovely having that voice of reason and that encouragement there, because it is, you can feel really disheartened, but it is also great. The biggest thing for me was not having a set of scales in the house. I would recommend anybody just get rid of your bathroom scales. Is really not good for your mental health. Because when you, what does it achieve? We all know that particularly with women, it's water, it's time of the month. There's so many different factors, and that 1 or 2 pounds can determine whether you're in a good or bad mood, and that's such a shame. So for me, getting rid of my scales and just have you come and measure me, my stats once a month, has been really helpful, and to see the progress with the important numbers on there. So not necessarily the weight. I mean, I have no idea what I weigh, and that's weird. For the first time in my life, I have no idea how much I weigh, and I don't actually care. But the fact that you measured my muscle mass, my visceral fat, what was it? Body fat.
Yeah,
so the important things that
absolutely.
you can't actually see, that's what kind, and that motivated me to be able to see the comparisons between, sort of, I think we've done 3 of those now, and it's just to see the numbers getting lower. The muscle mass particularly, that was really, and also to reverse my pre-diabetic diagnosis. That was great. I mean, obviously that's with eating as well, but also, exercising and sort of losing a little bit of weight really did help. So thank you for your support.
Oh no, it's all your hard work. It always is, but it's about the support, isn't it? And once you've got that support in place, you can really run with it, and the support comes in different forms. So it's finding that safe space and, just being honest with yourself and with that support, whoever it is or wherever it is, and then you can move forward.
And I'm always honest with you. If I've had a really rubbish week, I'll just say it's shocking, I've done X and I've done nothing or whatever, and you be like, but there's been no chastising, there's been no recrimination, because that's not what anybody wants. But you be like, okay, let's just reset and we'll start again next week, and that's really super helpful. Jo's been my PT for a couple of years now, on and off actually, and the benefits of having a personal trainer are tenfold actually. And I know you're not going to blow your own trumpet, so I'm going to do it for you. I think a lot of people think that a PT is something for the rich and famous or ladies who lunch. For someone like me, it's been really useful, because whilst I am very motivated and I will go to the gym, and I love exercise and I don't necessarily need encouragement, it's been really helpful to have that accountability, and to know that you come to the house, as I say, once a month, and you'd measure me and do my stats, and the numbers. You sometimes you don't have to tell me the numbers, because sometimes I didn't necessarily want to know them, and as we talked off air, I was in quite a negative place when we met, and I would talk a little bit more about that next week, because that was more like a food thing, and the whole food noise and the negativity and the guilt surrounding around food. But with exercise, having you come around, and as I say, just that encouragement, that smiley face, that like, you're going to be there at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever time we've booked, and we'll do some exercise, and we never go hell for leather, but the great thing about having a PT for me personally has making sure that my technique is on point, because you can go to a class, which is great, and you've got, as you say, that other solidarity of other class, people in the class. But obviously, as a teacher, you can't keep going around just checking everybody and making sure that their technique is spot on. The good thing about having you at home has been to make sure that my technique is good, so that I can then implement that in my classes. And I think it's very easy to get sidetracked when you're doing a class. You just get caught up, the music's really going hell for leather, and you're like, there can be a little bit of a sort of competitiveness, and maybe trying to push a weight that you shouldn't be doing, or your stance isn't quite right. But having you there just saying, actually, make sure that this is how you stand, make sure that the weight is, that has been really helpful. So I'm very mindful when I go to class now that I can hear you saying, make sure that you're this or you're that, or, you're not putting too much pressure on your knee because I've got a dodgy knee. So that has been really, really helpful. So PTs are for everybody. And, I would sort of say, if it's something you really, really want to do, Jo is great because very, very affordable. Ask for gift vouchers. It's a great birthday present. I got it as a birthday present, and it's a lovely thing to have because we've all got stuff. We don't need stuff. And I was talking in my show earlier about doing wardrobe weeds and the fact that we've all got way too much stuff in our wardrobes. So, we don't need another candle or another this or another that. But what we do need is someone like you to come in and say, do you know what? Let's find the thing that makes you happy. Let's find the thing that brings you joy that you're going to do regularly, and this is how you should do it. Would you agree?
I would absolutely agree, and thank you so much for your lovely words, of course. I think the best, the way I look at it is that when people look to have a personal trainer, it's because they're in a place of dependence. They are looking for support. And we've touched on this. It could be around having confidence in the ability to exercise safely and effectively. It could be not really knowing what is that thing I love and needing a sounding board. But it could also be, I've got so many barriers in my life to exercise right now. I can't see a way through to making this part of my life. And having someone that you work with that can go through that with you and start to break down those barriers and say, actually, do you know what? I think we've got a great plan here now. This is how you can make this part of your life. It can be really helpful. But really, the best way of working with a PT is to go from that place of dependence to be confident enough to be independent and make it part of your life. So some people do train with PTs for long periods, and that's part of actually what they want to do as their exercise. But other people will say, do you know what, I'm going to work with someone for a short period of time just to get to a place where I feel confident to be independent in my exercise. And I think once you have people that go, I'm great now, I've got this in place, I'm really enjoying it, it's making a difference to me, I'm meeting my goals, that really is a job done. So it can be something you work with for a short while, something you work with for a long time, and even personal trainers. You sometimes work with personal trainers because it just gives you those moments of motivation, like you said, where sometimes you just think, I just need somebody else there to help me with this.
Absolutely. And as you've said, making exercise work for your life, work, family, money, space, time commitments all affect our exercise regime. And it's very easy to say, I haven't got time. I get quite cross when I hear people say, I haven't got time, because to me, that feels like an excuse. We've all got time. If you really want to do something, and I know I'm sounding very harsh, but if you really want to do something, you will find time to do it, if it's a priority. And exercise, unfortunately, in our busy lives is last on our list of priorities. And it'll be the first thing that goes when, X, Y, and Z, your life just gets in the way. So for me, doing it in the morning gets it out the way. And it's not because it's a chore, but it is a bit of a chore, but it's done. Then I've got the whole day to enjoy, relax. I'm not good at exercising at night. I can't cope with the thought of having to go to the gym at night, especially when it's dark. I will walk in the evenings as the weather improves. We've still got a way to go. But I think, it's finding the thing that works for you and making sure that you can make it sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it refers back to those 2 points at the very beginning, which is find something you love to do and, keep variety in your exercise. Because if you keep those two things in, the chances of you then making it fit into your lifestyle are greater because you won't let it drop to the bottom of the pile because you're really enjoying it. And it also means that when you don't have an hour, you don't just say, well, do you know what? This thing takes an hour. I haven't got time for it today, so I'm just not going to do anything. Think about what else you could do. I've got 10 minutes. I've got 20 minutes. There's always something you can do in that time. And I know it's difficult to say because people are super, super busy and a lot of people are pulled in all directions at all times. But I have been that person. I did work full time and have kids and everything else, and I do understand. But once you do, even if it's 10 minutes, the feeling of control that you get back in your life, that you've made this something for you, is huge. And, we've talked about this before, about when you feel that you can't do these things, you feel a little bit out of control, and you don't feel that you're really meeting those goals in life that you want to. And it's small steps. You fit it in where you can, and actually you look back over the week and you go, look how much I've done. Which is, I know, is something we're going to come on to, but I think it's not comparing to anybody else. So, what works for you is not necessarily what works for anyone else, but just having someone with you work through what that is and what those barriers are can really help you find that way
Absolutely. Through. And comparison is definitely the thief of joy. We've had so much to talk about, obviously coming back next week, so we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But I think the important thing that we want to talk about in this last link is celebrating the small wins. And I was just saying to you off air, I'm chastising myself for the fact that I'm not back into my morning routine for yoga, but I am back at class. So that's something. What would you recommend to people to sort of say, how do we celebrate our small wins? Because, naturally, I think we're quite hard on ourselves. And also we're British, so we definitely don't do any self-congratulation. So, would you recommend writing it down or sending you accountability and saying I've done X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, I mean, all of those things. I think whatever works for you. And I really wanted to finish with this point because I think celebrate small wins is a really positive way of approaching your exercise. Whether you're doing it, for the very first time, whether you're coming back into it, or whether you're setting yourself a new challenge because you've been exercising for ages and you really want to go for something. Yes, you might have something 6 months down the line that you really want to work towards, but that's a long way away and it's dark and it's bleak and it's horrible at this time of year. So how do you get there? And actually looking at what you've achieved over the week is a really lovely thing. So I always say to clients, yes, look forward, but also look back. Because you might have a week that hasn't quite gone to plan. Oh, I meant to go and do 3 classes, yoga every morning and 2 runs, and that just hasn't worked out. But actually, I did do X, Y, and Z things, despite the fact my week has been crazy and wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And when you look back over those, as you said, whether you write them down, whether you share them with somebody else, you can be a little bit competitive with people, whether you go to the person that is holding you to account or is giving you that support and you just say, do you know what, I've done this week. You look at it and all of a sudden you think, crikey, do you know what, I fit a lot in there. And it might be really varied and it might have improved on the week before even. You might have run a bit further or done a few more reps of something. But it will just help with that motivation as you go into the next week. So you're not starting demoralised because it hadn't gone to plan. And I suppose that's a life lesson anyway, isn't it? In any kind of job you're in, that sometimes you can be derailed. But actually what helps to get you back on track is realising that you have achieved things and you should be really proud of those. So I'm a big believer in that.
Absolutely. And the other thing I wanted to say is I know you brought some cans with you.
I did.
Yes. Can we see those, please? Because I know
see my cans.
It sounds. We thought we were bringing your luncheon actually.
Yeah, well, it is that too.
Yeah.
So,
But I think the important thing is that you're demonstrating is that you can use anything at home. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't necessarily have to join a gym. And as we know, joining a gym in January, I would just say hold off to see whether that's your vibe, or try and have a taste day to see whether that's going to be your thing.
Absolutely.
But cans are such a useful. Tell us how that works.
It really is. So the reason I picked up cans is because, like you said, it's an everyday thing. We've all got cans,
Look
jars,
at how healthy
bottles.
they are.
I know, exactly. And I think the point I want to try and make is when you do exercise, whatever that exercise is, you want to think about that exercise being functional. And you might hear people talk about functional workouts and functional exercise. All that really means is that you are moving your body in a way that you need to help you do everyday things. And so we all move by pushing, pulling, hinging, bending, twisting, all the other sorts of ways that we move our body every single day. And it's important to think about how your exercise can help improve that functionality. So things like picking up heavy shopping, picking up boxes, lifting and putting things up on shelves, all of those things we replicate in what we do, whether it's, shoulder presses, whether it's push-ups in pushing something heavy, whether it's squats with weights where we're lifting heavy shopping. All of that is really functional, helps us to maintain and build our strength to do those everyday things. So you can absolutely replicate with whatever you've got at home. I mean, you could even fill up a whole bag full of these and start just lifting and carrying them around the room, and it's going to really help with your strength. So there's so much you can do. You don't need to spend a huge amount of money. If the gym is your thing, absolutely, then it's value for money for you. But if it's not, get into your cupboard and see what you've got in there.
And you say our store cupboards are such a source of just usefulness in terms of, there's things that we can make as well. I mean, I'm not someone who cooks, and we'll talk next week about, sort of nutrition, because that's a massive subject. But, as you say, our store cupboards, we've got beans, we've got soup, tin tomatoes, whatever, just use them, and you can do some little bicep curls. And when I was injured, you were really helpful and showed me about chair workouts. And I really, if I'm honest, I really struggle with a chair workout. I did feel like a proper old lady, but it is, if you're really incapacitated, a chair workout is a really good shot.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And the best thing of all is the weight's on the can, so you know how much you're lifting. So if you think to yourself, feels nice and easy, I'm going to go with a bigger can, I'm going to go with a big pasta jar, I'm going to go with whatever, as long as you can manage it. You can load these up into bags, carry them, and suddenly you've doubled your weight. So it's right there really, if you want to. That's
absolutely brilliant. I've been talking now for about 500 hours now, and I'm losing my voice, bear with me. Thank you so much. It's been such a great informative session, and next week we're going to talk about nutrition and the fact that you cannot out-train a bad diet. And I know it's a really contentious subject. It's a huge subject. I'm very much looking forward to it, because I feel like we've come a long way in terms of my food journey.
Absolutely. Now I'm looking forward to that, and you and I have said before, exercise and nutrition go hand in hand, so it makes sense to talk about the two. But thank you so much for having me.
No, it's been brilliant. And people can contact you at Jo_fitness at home on Instagram, and on the socials as well, and I will put it up on my social media, and we will share each other's as well. So I just want to sort of say you're absolutely amazing. If you want to contact me, I'm Nancy@horizonradio.com, or as I say, Instagram _NancyMK_, and you can see what we've talked about today, and also a little bit about my wardrobe week that I did last week as well. So hopefully that's been super informative. Had a lovely show. It's been great. I say I'm running out of steam. My voice is literally going. I've had the best time. Thank you so much for joining me on the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show, and I'll see you all next week.